Kansas City. My name is Shereese Muhammad, and my co-host today is
Max White.
And our special guest is Donald Carter, Kansas City native. We actually brought him on today to have a very nice conversation about some things that happened recently that we thought was important for the city and the community to be aware of and give the opportunity to shed some light on the great things that he's doing. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and just jump in with the question. He has no idea what we're going to ask. So, for all who don't already know, can you tell us about the day that you stopped to grab some fast food and changed a stranger's life?
Yeah, so it was about a month ago now. I was real tired after a long week at work and other things. So I was exhausted on a Friday. My family didn't have any food ready for me, so I decided to go to the local Popeyes, which is right in my neighborhood. I live in Oak Park neighborhood. And so went to Popeyes there on 31st and Prospect, and as I drove through the drive-thru, I noticed that the girl there was visibly exhausted. So I just offered her some encouragement. I said something like, "It's almost over." It was about 20 minutes before they were closing. And then that's how our conversation started.
In the drive-thru?
In the drive-thru, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So she says, "I know it's almost over, but I got to be here in the morning." And then I just started thinking like, well, I mean, is this her side gig or is this just something she does for extra money? So I said, "What do you do besides this?" And she was just like, "Nothing." And I kind of heard this little sense of desperation in her voice. And then she said, "But I want to go back to school." And so I was like, "Oh yeah, what you want to go back to school for?" And she said, "Nursing." And I said, "Well, what kind of nurse you want to be?" And she was like, "It don't even matter." Again, that little desperation. And that was the end of our conversation right there. Wow. She handed me my chicken, asked me if I needed a bag. I didn't. But even in that short exchange, I could sense, something a little bit deeper. And she was just really kind in that moment, which unfortunately was rare for fast food restaurant, late at night, all of that stuff. So I drove away from there with this lingering sense of what I could do to help what she wanted to do.
So what did you do?
So I got home. I mean, it was real close to my house, so I was probably, I was less than 5 minutes from home. But by the time I got home, I was so tired that I didn't even want to get out of the car before I started eating.
Did you already eat the chicken?
I didn't already eat it. I started eating it in front of my house. And as I'm sitting there eating this chicken, this thought just kind of hit me. It was like, well, why don't you pay for her to go to school?
Wow.
So simultaneously, I knew that I couldn't do that myself. So then the next thought was to just introduce this opportunity or this story to my 1,400 or so Facebook friends and see if they would contribute. So I didn't know anything about nursing, or I knew that CNA was kind of like the entry level. So I was just thinking, help her get her CNA license. And so I got on Google, saw how much it would cost. It was about $1,500. And I got, 1,400 friends, so I just told the story.
Like $1, yeah.
Right.
Well, I was like, even if just 300 of them just gave $5, then we could do it with no problem. So that's what I did, told that story, and then I was so tired that I almost didn't do it. And and then the rest is just kind of crazy history. But then about 16 hours, we had raised over $1,700.
Wow.
So this is late at night when I started this in this Facebook post, and I just had people start responding almost immediately. So I stayed up way too late, way later than I expected, just like another hour. So I was literally in the bed typing this and responding to people's messages, and then I fall asleep, wake up the next morning, and didn't even remember that I had done it first. And I had a little volunteer event where we were helping, it was with Higher KC Youth, and so it was a workshop to get them interview ready or job readiness or something like that. So I was pretty occupied until about midday, and then that's when I got back to checking in and I saw that it was over the goal that we had set.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
So within the span of a few hours, really, you met a goal collectively.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about collectively pooling our resources for one person just out of a simple act of kindness. So what's been the after effect that you've seen from that one thing that you've done?
Well, it was pretty incredible to me that it inspired so many people. But we've raised raised over $15,000 now.
Wow.
Because-
I'm sorry, repeat that for me
Yeah,
one more time.
we raised over 15,000. We had some nurses chime in early on that were like, some people who were nurses and my Facebook friends chimed in and was like, you know, the CNA's not really that big of a deal, don't really learn very much, so let's help her get her LP in.
Wow.
So they were like, we could do 7,000. That's $23 between 300 people. And so at first I was nervous because I didn't know this girl at all. Like I literally talked to her for like 30 seconds. So I was thinking like, what if she doesn't really want to do this? What if she doesn't accept it? What if she doesn't follow through?
Because she has no idea this is going
she has
on.
no idea this is going on.
Wow, okay.
So with that, I just thought, you know what? Who am I to stifle the kindness of a bunch of people who want to give to this occasion? And so I just opened it up, raised the goal, and then that's when the news started to get a hold of it. Somebody from my Facebook friend said something, and I don't know how the news got it actually. So I got a phone call that afternoon. They came to my house, did a quick little interview. Then that got shared with their syndicate television stations in other major cities, and then it just went crazy.
Wow.
So the next day, we actually, I went and did a little bit of some intel, try to gather some intelligence on this girl. So I went up to the Popeyes, and I didn't know she was going to be there, but I talked to one of the managers and was like, hey, this is what we got going on. What's her work schedule like? And she thought I was kind of weird. And was like,
Of course.
I don't really want to tell you what's what. But she gave me this time frame where she might possibly be at work. And so I just invited a bunch of my Facebook friends and like, hey, y'all want to have some Sunday chicken? We ended up showing up.
The power of chicken, right?
Showing up at Popeyes the next day. And they just kind of all just filtered in intermittently and then bought some food, and we were all sitting around and we just called her out and gave her the opportunity if she wanted that we'd pay for her to go to school. And by that time we had already raised probably like $4,000, I think, by the next day. And and then from there it just went bananas. I mean, that Monday, so the next day I was getting calls from ABC and Good Morning America and NBC, so many different news outlets, and it was inspiring a bunch of people. So that was the part that I never expected.
What was her reaction like when you first told her what you were doing? Like, how did she respond?
Yeah, she was graciously grateful. She had this demeanor that even when the people that I invited to come eat with us came in, nobody knew who she was because I didn't tell anybody. But whenever they encountered her, they were like, "That must be the girl," because she just has this way about her. And so when we
can we say her name for a moment?
yeah, her name is Shawana.
Shawana.
Mays. Yep.
Hi,
What's up, Shawana?
Congratulations!
Yeah, she's actually really, really great. I mean, I couldn't have. This was extremely timely for her, and I'm especially when I first learned a little bit of her story, I almost like lost it because as easy as it was of a decision for me to make to do this, it would have been easy not to make because it was a simple thing. To me, it was a simple act of paying attention to somebody that was in my space and then having a sense of likeness, or what I call, that's my definition of kindness, is recognizing the human kindness of somebody in your space. And so when we take the time to slow down and just recognize the people that we're around, then if we hear of a need or of a desire, I think it's a natural tendency to want to help fulfill that, especially if we can. And since I came across something I couldn't do, I just invited other people into the process, and then it was easy for everybody.
I got chills.
Yes.
So
Tissue.
you mentioned inspiration, right? You mentioned inspiration,
Yeah.
and so when I saw this story, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, what inspires him? What motivates him? What is it that keeps you fulfilled and moving towards this wonderful, life that you have of helping other people?
Yeah, and so I've been really reflective about, in the wake of everything that's happening. So what inspires me whenever I pay attention is seeing people be good to each other. I mean, I'm inspired by music, obviously, and I'm inspired by nature. But the thing that gets me charged up is when I see people being good to each other in the most simple ways, and especially people that don't know each other. Like, that charges me up, and it helps me realize the power of people coming together. Because to me, with Shawana, this isn't about raising money for her to go to school. It's about a community of people coming around somebody that they didn't know, but that's in their community and helping boost their life. And so that stuff, seeing that over and over again, and all you really have to do is slow down enough to see it. And it's way more common than we think, but that inspires me.
Yeah, that's love. That's just loving on one another, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
And I think for whatever reason, we've stopped doing that, or we're not doing it enough. So I commend you for doing that. I know she was excited. I'm excited just hearing about it. I can tell you, when I had my first job, I worked in fast food. Nobody ever did that, you know. So thank you on behalf of her.
It's easy for me. My pleasure.
Wow. So yeah.
So you want to jump in?
Okay, so I just have a question for you. For someone who's out there watching or listening, and they say, okay, you know what, that touches me. I want to do something, but I don't know, you know, what to do or how to get started. What advice would you give to them?
So to me, this was a really simple thing. Again, like, people think that my act of kindness toward this girl was raising money for her to go to school. My act of kindness was me slowing down and paying attention enough to somebody who I was in the same space with to see that she was like me in that moment. I was feeling tired, she was feeling tired, and I just offered her some encouragement. And so you never know what the simplest acts, like the ripple effect that can come from that. So start where you are is what I would say. I think we all have those inclinations to do the things that are good to the people around us when we slow down enough to pay attention. And so just following that, it's really simple. Just a smile, a kind word, and then when you do that, inevitably you'll find somebody that you'll hear something where it's like, that's the thing.
That's it. Okay.
And then if you can do something about it, do it.
Yeah.
But if you can't, I mean, invite other people to help you do it. I think it's simple.
There you have it, Kansas City.
Right.
That's simple. Let's do it. Wow. Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
my
coming.
pleasure. Absolutely.
And it's truly an inspiring story. You have inspired me just to be more intuitive and to love on each other.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Kansas City, we had prepared questions for this brother, but the idea was really just to have an open conversation, to go ahead and bring what happened to to Kansas City, to our environment. Anyone that may have missed it, because I initially missed it at the beginning, but I jumped in, logged into Facebook. Facebook has been doing some great things for us. If we use it correctly, then it can do some really good things. So please go on, make sure that you make some comments. If you have any questions, if you want to see other things on our show, let us know, and we are more than willing to put what you want in front of this camera, and we'll have those conversations.
Yeah, so go to whatsupkansascity.net or check us out on Facebook at What's Up Kansas City and leave your comments. So, yeah. All right. Well, I've enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Shereese. Good seeing you.
Thank you,
I'm
Donna.
Max White, just encouraging you to believe in something. Why not start with yourself? So,
I'm going to go ahead and co-sign on that. See you next time.
bye.